struggling so much.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So this is a front view, so we can just start with a circle.
You guys are like vultures.
You ruined in the recording.
So we can start with a circle. You can always double check it just to make sure it's actually a circle. So this is actually a little bit wide, but as long as your measurement is good and you're basing off the measurement, it's fine. Then the front view, so it's always 3 units for the length of the head. So it means that we take that one radius, this is the middle, the bottom. The chin will have to be the one radius down. Usually the 2 sides of the jaw tapers slightly, and if you take half right here, that's usually where the jaw is, between the bottom of the circle and the chin. It's important to find this, is because if you ever have a head that tilts, like we kind of talked about today, it tilts up. That jaw location stays in the same place. It's still at the half, but the chin will move up. But you see the jaw doesn't really move. So that's why it's important to really find that location, because sometimes people just end up moving everything up and then make the head too small. So that's an important measurement to find. So that's pretty much the front. And if the ear is just basically at the halfway of the whole thing, usually that's what the eye is. Just keep it simple. The bottom of the ear usually is half between the chin and the ear, or just, you can see it's just a tiny bit above the jaw. Let me go ahead and do a side view. Start with that circle again. Circle if needed.
Could you maybe also really quickly after that go over how it goes into the pit of the neck and how you form that connection? Because I did that and it worked quite well from the pit of the neck to the eye, is what you said, right? To take that.
So if I want to find the pit of the neck from front view, just take that circle you drew, drop it 1 unit down. You just found the pit of the neck. And this is a very important measurement to get correct. Because if you screw up on this location, you basically screwed up on your shoulders and you screwed up on your rib cage, because this is where all 4 form meets together. So it's very important to get this correct. And then if I want to find where the top of the rib cage is, it's basically half here. So a rib cage would be. Remember, at this point is not the same as what the shoulder is. Because if someone's really muscular and really built, this is going to be higher. Because this depends on the thickness of the muscle. But if someone's really skinny, it could be all the way down here. So just remember, when you see this, that is not the top of the rib cage. So don't get confused. So when you draw right now, we don't want to worry about this. We want to worry about how this neck connects to the rib cage. So, all right, so let's come back to this one. So from the front, it's still going to be 3 units, so we can still take this. Here. So 1, 2, 3, right? The common mistakes I noticed that in class is that when people draw the head, when they do the front, they start drawing this curve. The problem with curve is that it's too ambiguous. Like, which way is she or he facing?
Yeah, exactly.
It's better to keep it straighter, even the top a little bit flatter, so it can make really, really clear decisions on. Is she looking up, or is she looking down? So we can always soften it, but we need to be very clear with our idea of what we're conveying. Okay, now the important part, the depth of this call. So this is 3 units, but the depth is going to be like 2.8, which means that if I take that radius to the back, all the way across, we got to shrink that a bit. So again, everyone's head's a little bit different, but usually this is probably the widest point. It's never a box. And from the chin, the length is always a little bit longer than the depth. Pull that chin, relate it all the way to the back of the skull. And from the front of the head to the back of the head, let's break that in the middle, because that's where our jaw and our ear is going to be. So if that's eye line, that means the ear will be here. But the ear is not super crucial right now. If I want to find the pit of the neck, we still find this point, which is the half. Put that pin right through and put it down one circle. That's going to be a pit of the neck. And usually the throat goes forward, usually lands around the halfway point of the jaw. And as we know, some vertebrae is usually from here and here, the half. So you just pull that line across, take the back of the head down. That's the stem vertebrae. So, and this I could kick in about 1/3 in. So a very subtle one, but that's the bottom of the skull. I can't cut in any more. If I cut in any more, I start cutting into the bone, that's the spine. So it's a very subtle little like dip. And here I can kind of kick in and pull out. So that's my stretch, that's my pinch.
You think you can show 3/4 view?
Yeah, sure, of course.
How it connects to the pit of the neck?
Yeah,
Because that's
sure.
one thing I really wanted to get.
So again, we start with a circle.
We really appreciate this, Kevin.
Yeah,
This
no
is
worries.
Extra time.
And then if you
This
guys-
is awesome.
yeah,
You put
if-
in the work too.
No worries. I want to make sure you guys get this. And if you guys want, you could even, if you have the video, share it on the blog.
Yeah.
So
sure.
that way the other students can have that as well.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely go over this over again next week as well in class. So again, so it will never get short as this, never gets longer than this. So it's going to be somewhere in between. So what we're going to do is take that radius, I'm going to break it in half. That's a good amount to stretch out for the back of the skull on the 3/4 view. You guys seen Akira?
Yes.
Yeah, they always have those capsule pills, right? So imagine from view is that I can only see the white side of the pill. Side view I can see both. 3/4 view is basically you have this and we see a tiny bit of this, the back. So that's one way you think about visualizing that. So now we have this. Of course, the center line is no longer going to be on the side. It's going to, or no longer in the center. It's somewhere in between. So that's where also goes to half radius. And now we can add the jaw in there, the face. So let's pull that center line. Again, nice, simple, straight. And then one radius down, which is going to be here. That's a chin. And let's pull this line across. Let's pull this line across. About the halfway point, that's the jaw.
So you just angle them slightly.
Yeah. Then we have that. But here you can see on the side view you have this kind of pin idea, right? Right in the middle, and how there's a weight line going from the center of the skull all the way down to the neck. And everything is really just counterbalancing around that weight line. We still have that, but the way you find it from 3/4 view is to find the front of the head, the back of the head. Let's find, again, the middle out of the whole head, and that's where we're going to place that pin. And if it's a simple pose, then we're going to put that pin straight down. That's the pit of the neck for a 3/4 view. And of course, it's not always going to be straight. If the head looks up, that pin could be going up, or that pin could be going down. Like the head's dipping down. So that could vary. But in general, this thing never changes in really dramatic angle. It's always very subtle. It's a very graceful
Yeah.
kind of curve. Because this weight line will go all the way down to the bottom of the pelvis. So keep it subtle. And we know that at the half of the head, that's the center of the eye we talked about. So generally, the throat will kind of flow toward the center of the eye. So the one way to think about it is that if you think about drawing the head here, but without the jaw. So here's the skull. All the neck is trying to do is that it's trying to stretch around here and stretch around that ball, kind of like someone's gripping on top of this ball. Then of course this is gripping on this one. So it's trying to get a really tight grip so that way it can support the weight. Just imagine if I could carry this and run across a room. This is a suction cup here, so this thing won't fall off. So that's good. What's bad is you don't want to do this. You don't want to do like a head and a stick. And this doesn't really wrap around the skull.
It'll fall off.
You'll
yeah.
fall off, right? So this has a really strong anchoring. That's how your neck connects to the skull. And the jaw is just something we add on top afterwards. So that's why it's like you need to draw through to make sure it connects properly.
And what is the throat in that example? Like what is that like?
It's like your center line.
Oh, okay.
So if
And
it's
then
like
you wrap the pinch and pull around that.
yeah, so if it's a front view, just think of the neck as like a triangle like this. This is in the middle, right? But once you start looking to the, let's say, looking to the left, and maybe I'm gonna keep this at the same place. You see how the center line shifts this way. That's how it shows a twisting of the neck. Or it's vice versa if it goes the other direction.
So glad I stayed.
Yeah. But I'll go over this again with you guys too next week. So you guys getting preview of next week's
Hey.
lecture.
You think you can show the proper measurements from the head to the torso to the? Do you know what I'm talking about? To the rib cage.
The very bottom.
Yeah.
Let me see. Well,
Just
let's
to-
finish this first. Yeah. So another quick thing is that you see the width of the two sides of the neck is about the same as this circle. So just take that, bring that across, and that's the foreshore inside. So that's how you do a 3/4 head with the neck.
So one question: the line you take down, so the one that we'll measure, you know, the radius and to the pit of the neck, and then we take that down twice. While drawing from the model, I was kind of confused when she was like, when her back was facing me or front was facing me. What should I choose? Should I choose the spine or just like a general gesture of the body? Like, what was it that I was applying those measurements on?
Well, I'm out of paper. Need another sheet. Do you guys, anybody have scratch paper?
Yeah.
Hey, what time is it?
It's about 11.
20 to 12.
An extra sheet?
Okay, because my car is at a parking meter till 11:59.
Oh, okay.
We go over this every week.
Yeah, we go over it. You guys gonna hear this again next week?
Mm.
And but just really quickly, you know,
It's just really helpful, thank you, because this is good for homework. Then I can look back and really put in the hours for the homework because I know what I'm doing. This is great.
yeah. So really quickly, this is what we're doing. It's like one circle down, is that. One circle across, shoulders. Then take two of those circles across up to the bottom. We got rib cage. Again, the two circles down, we got ball in the pelvis. And then, you know, take this, break it down to 1/4. That gives us the top of the rib cage. Lower third, the widest point of the rib cage. Half of that, crest, and bottom of the pelvis. And the rest is just basically connect the dots. Add a tiny bit for acronium process. So that's the idea. It's just kind of hitting those key points. If you can locate those key points, your proportion is not going to be too far off when you draw. It gives you something to guide. So that way, the danger is that not marking those parts off, your proportion just keeps growing or gets too short. So it's important to, yeah.
So just focus on that, not
Where-
detail. I
Yeah,
assume?
where those
Alright.
dots are, you need to make sure we hit those.
Alright. And then if we want to go further than that, what would be the next step afterwards? Just after having that proportion done?
I would say just patience
just-
right now. Just
do
focus
another
on
one,
that.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do that.
Just
Alright.
do the other one. Do it until you could do it in your sleep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just
and then we could build more.
Alright.
what I'm still not quite sure on is if the back of the model is facing me, would this be like the spine or would just
Exactly the same thing.
okay?
Because remember, the only thing that's different is that when it's a front view, I'm gonna put the chin here, the jaw here. I'm going to put the jaw in front of the neck, right? But let's say it's a back view. The lay-in is exactly the same.
So you're still going by the pit of the neck. Okay.
The only thing is that I'm going to overlap differently. Like still the 1/4 down. That's the 7 vertebrae, the neck. But I'm going to put the face behind the neck. And then here I'm going to draw the front center line. Here I'm going to use the 7 vertebrae. But you see, all the marking points are exactly the same.
Okay.
So how do you draw the front versus how you draw the back? You draw exactly the same. Because we're not drawing the surface, we're getting X-ray vision. We're seeing all the bone joints and points. So even though I can't see the pit of the neck, I still draw them in. I can't see that chin, I still figure out what that is. So that way I could draw and really know the form. That's one of the things where even though the viewer don't see it, but if I don't figure it out, they'll feel it's missing. So the drawing feels like it lost depth, it's not connecting properly. So even if they don't see it, we need to know everything. Cool. All right.
And
that
you see,
helps.
they can